Let's check in with the Acolyte one more time now that we have seen the entire show as a package. Not just talking about Manny Jacinto there for a second, but no. Now that all 8 episodes are out, most of your favorite podcasters or your pundits have gone through it in painstaking detail. I'm just over here taking a look at the backlash and the rather large cultural ripplings that the show has provided and have just poked fun at that. So that's what we're going to continue to do on this one, but specifically focusing on Smilo Ren, which at the end of this, and if they're going to be getting a season 2, and please, for the love of God, renew the Acolyte, give it a season 2, because it's just been a wellspring of interest. It has been a wellspring of just absolute Lucasfilm insanity. I do believe it was Gary of Nerdrotic who called this out as a Disney Star Wars in its final form, and as somebody who is well aware of a lot of their output, I concur with that sentiment. This is definitely what Kathleen Kennedy always desired, because you remember when Leslye Headland presented her with the pitch for this show, she cried. And yeah, there are probably a lot of Star Wars fans, if they were presented with the pitch of this show, they would have also cried, but for very different reasons. So yeah, with all of that pre-release hype and all those pre-release attacks that, yeah, we know it's going to be we know that the fans are going to go ahead and see this as crap. So yeah, there's just going to be a lot of attacks. The female showrunners always legendarily, okay, across all of Star Wars, always end up fighting a bunch of different man babies. So we need to go ahead and get out ahead of this stuff. It's just, nah, bro, when you're trying to push stuff like putting the shipping community in Star Wars front and center, when you're trying to tell this nihilistic, moral relativist story, people don't really want that. Okay, especially as a Star Wars story. Like, this is just a bad show to begin with. From toes to titties, it's awful. But as a Star Wars show, it's even worse, because it does two things that are very important when you're trying to tell a story in a galaxy far, far away in a time long, long ago. You need to be adherent to the iconography, and then also to the lore. And you did neither. You bastardized both for your own designs so that you could put a chick in it, make her lame, make her gay, make her diverse, and make her come first. Robbing Anakin Skywalker of any of his speciality, because you know what? Mayanosia did it first. You want to rob Darth Sidious and Darth Plagueis, finding out how the Force can be used to extend and manipulate life. You wanted to steal their discovery and make it so that Plagueis was just simply a creepy CGI puppet leaning out over the corner to just simply observe Osha and May and get inspired by them. You wanted to take your terrible show and inexorably weave it into the fabric of Star Wars, knowing that it wouldn't be able to stand up on its own. This is the most pointed example of cultural vandalism that we have been party to in a very long time, perhaps ever. The Acolyte showrunner, Leslye Headland, says fans are thirsty for Qimir because he flips classic gender tropes of hypersexualization. Well, I don't know. You got him naked, you put him in a pool, and no homo, he's in good shape. Like, he's got abs. I don't really know how you say that's hypersexualization. That's just, once again, Leslye Headland writing what she knows, okay? As the former personal assistant to Harvey Weinstein. She knows what Harv used to really look for, and she thinks that that is somehow, and this is a lesbian, by the way, and like Leslye Headland, her wife in the show, okay? Not really, breaking any new ground here. So how would she be able to know what makes a man attractive to a woman? Unless, of course, she's going to, unintentionally be incredibly based by exposing the fact that, most lesbians are as such by choice. But I don't think that's the road that she's trying to walk down. But we've seen her in interviews before, and she is, mightily inarticulate, to say the least. So potentially she'd let that slip out. Who knows? She's doing the same thing that a lot of guys do, flip reverse on that one. They try to go ahead and project what they think women will like, what they think is attractive on women, based on what they think is attractive about women. I need to clarify that one. Okay, so the way the guys, most blue-pilled guys think that, I find a woman attractive based on, physical characteristics. So they'll spend far too much money on their wardrobe and superfluous items. Not saying that, physical appearance isn't a big filter. That's not at all what I'm saying. But then they'll also listen to women, which is, watch what they do, not what they say. Thinking that if you go ahead and you be a good enough beta, she's just going to go ahead and pat you on the head and say, good boy, and give you some sympathy cooch. That's not at all what happens. Leslie's writing this interpretation of Qimir, the idealized version of a woman to a prepubescent or blue-pilled boy. That's why it didn't work. That's why it seemed so out of place, especially in Star Wars. Rather than simply admitting he's popular because he's hot, yes, the Acolyte showrunner Leslye Headland says that one of the main reasons fans have been so vocally thirsty. Where, okay? Like, you got the freaks on Twitter, but outside of that, people are like, yeah, I guess, like, he wasn't the worst actor on the show. Like, he could have been cool, but he wasn't. He was betrayed by the writing like everybody else, but did the best with what he had. Okay. Showrunner Leslye Headland says that one of the main reasons fans have been so, yes, vocally thirsty over series villain Qimir, Smilo Ren, come on, let's get it, let's use the appropriate verbiage, is because he flips classic gender tropes of hypersexualization. How? He's built like a 70s action hero, okay? Like, he kind of looks like dehydrated Charles Bronson, if we're being completely honest, okay? It's not really flipping anything on its head at all whatsoever. Okay, dollar store Bruce Lee, and that's just not just because he's Asian and he's like Filipino, it's completely different, right? But it's just, all of this is odd. Search the Acolyte on social media platforms, and it's likely that amidst the numerous criticisms and mockery being leveled towards Star Wars series, one will no doubt encounter an absolute abundance of viewers, considering the easy on the eyes appearance of Qimir, as played by Manny Jacinto, as one of, if not the main reasons they tuned in for each subsequent episode. Yes, both of the people that tuned in, ironically, to enjoy the show, yeah, that's probably what was the driving force on that one. Light to the role in and sparking this phenomenon, the aforementioned Headland was pressed for her insight into the Sith Lord's widespread popularity. Well, is he a Sith Lord? Who knows? Part of a recent interview by Jacinto to GQ's Yang Yi Gu. Weird. The stranger flips classic gender tropes of hypersexualization, said the showrunner. But a true sex symbol is someone who resonates emotionally with the fans. No, or it's normally somebody who looks good with their shirt off. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Manny's magnetism is rooted in his acting. It's not just his physique. His ability to access a vulnerability, empathy, and longing is very compelling. Yeah, it would have been nice if that could have been brought to the screen, but you told a very different story. But now we got to hear from Manny himself saying that the Acolyte, the series, diverse casting means even more people of color will be able to relate to and celebrate and see themselves in the entity that is Star Wars. Oh, he's an idiot too. Fantastic. Easy on the eyes, but even easier between the ears. In the opinion of a series lead, Manny Jacinto. Is he the lead? Could be. Is it Osha? Is it May? Who knows? Who knows, man? It's an ensemble cast with an even more ensemble script. The Acolyte can at least be praised for its diverse casting, particularly as it means even more people of color will now feel welcome to engage with the overall Star Wars fan base. Well, they were welcome to. They just didn't. Because whenever you try to go after the mythical modern audience, guess what ends up happening? It never works out at all. Qimir actor spoke his thoughts of the Star Wars series representation when speaking to not the JQ, that's a totally different interview, ahead of then upcoming 2024 Gold Gala, a cross-industry award show meant to highlight and honor those various Asian Americans. They wanted to call it the Gold Gala because they thought, the Yellow Gala was too on the nose, who have excelled in their respective fields. So why was he invited? Reflecting on his own history with the franchise, Jacinto himself, Filipino, recalled, "I remember." Oh no, sorry, that's when Soul was interviewed. Watching all of the movies with my parents growing up. I'm completely transparent with you. Star Wars was cool. It was something I admired, but almost from afar. Maybe because I didn't see anybody like me in Star Wars. Unbelievable. It was never something I aspired to be in, and then I'd watch, a Jackie Chan film or something and go, oh, I want to do that. Okay, cool. So Star Wars now just hires failures? Is that what you're trying to say? Taking note of the host's fellow Asian heritage, the actor opined, I know. There are plenty of Star Wars fans that look like you and me, and they're excited. Oh, but it's exciting to be in a new iteration where we have Lee Jung-jae, myself, Amandla, Jodie Turner-Smith, Billy D. Williams, Samuel L. Jackson, James Earl Jones. Yeah, I know, it's tough to never see, a diversity represented in Star Wars. Even more people of color will be able to relate to and celebrate them and see themselves in the entity that is Star Wars. Now, as somebody who has enjoyed a lot of different entertainment throughout the years, okay? Like, more recently, okay, something that I can't stop talking about because it just, dominates my thoughts whenever, I'm discussing entertainment, but Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, am I represented in that game? Am I a large hulking black man with his left arm replaced by a machine gun? Am I a 48-year-old red labrat dog, a well-endowed brunette, a descendant of an ancient race, or an experimented on a blonde super soldier? Do I fit the demographic? Am I a 50-something-year-old vampire? No. It's almost like good storytelling, compelling character work. That's what resonates with people, because even Jacinto is pointing out that there are Asian Star Wars fans that are out there. It was just him needing to feel represented in order to resonate with the story. Apparently, that could just be one of the talking points that he's given, because we've heard a lot from the different actors on this series. Jodie Turner-Smith. What's the name of that idiot who played Yord, who said that Anakin was the one to blow up the Death Star? Those are apparently Star Wars fans, right? Including Leslye Headland, whose favorite Star Wars is all the Star Wars. But yeah, when you try to make... how's the way that I can go ahead and relate to an Acolyte actor on this one, okay? You make the show for one, then you look in the audience and you see two, and you realize the people that are turning out are the many. The Acolyte lead, Manny Jacinto, admits audiences aren't tuning into Disney's latest Star Wars series. It might just take some people time to get, it just might take some time to get other people on board. It's going to take a long time, okay? You know what? Hey, it's that old classic TV trope where the show, once it gets going, okay? The show, it really turns around in the season 3. Like most everyone else, the Acolyte star Manny Jacinto is well aware that Star Wars' latest Disney output has been an absolute miss with audiences. Suffice it to say, the Acolyte has been one of the biggest viewership disasters in the franchise's entire history. No, it is. At this point in time, is it like 40% to the audience that Ahsoka has? That's what they've accumulated. And you think after this weekend, after everybody thoroughly dissects it, is anybody going to be wanting to go back and rewatch? I encourage everybody, don't forget how much desecration, how much the showrunners and the actors hate you specifically, from Kathleen Kennedy all the way down, all of that vitriol that they showed and that they directed in your vicinity. Amandla's a diss track. All of the preemptive racist bigots in the audiences, they're not going to like this show. Oh, we're really going to upset the apple cart with this one. It's just when you, in a similar situation over in Doctor Who, when you tell people not to watch, you gotta understand that there's a high likelihood, there's a stiff probability that they're gonna listen to you. As reported, or previously reported, per data provided by noted television analytics firm Nielsen, the Acolyte posted roughly 488 minutes, a million minutes collectively, 244 minutes average of viewing. 244 million average viewing minutes across the 2-episode debut, the second worst premiere numbers for any Star Wars television series behind Andor. Yeah, and it should be noted that these results are not so clear-cut. Andor objectively pulled in a less viewing numbers than the Acolyte. The former debuted on a Wednesday and the latter on a Tuesday. In other words, the Acolyte benefited from an extra day of accessibility than its counterpart. And yeah, you take a look at the accumulated numbers now that Andor has completed, now that the Acolyte has completed, and yeah, Andor outpaced it 1,000% because there was good word of mouth after this. People actually, in the words of Manny, okay, let's get this right here. It's going to take some time for people to get on board. Yeah, they did with Andor. They're not going to be doing that with the Acolyte. Nobody, outside of just sheer cringe and hate watch factors, nobody's going to recommend a rewatch of this. Come on now. And unfortunately for Disney, things only went downhill from there. According to Nielsen, the following week saw the Acolyte draw just 370 million collective, 123.3 million average viewing minutes across its then available 3 episodes. A drop in almost half compared to the two-part premiere. Yep, people were so turned off by those first 2 ridiculous episodes, even with all the hype that, you know what, this is going to be the episode, because that was the first flashback episode where everything changed, where the thread was introduced, where the Immaculate Conception via lesbian space witches was canonized. Even with all of that hype, all of that head-scratching nonsense, you would think that some people would tune in. Well, yeah, apparently they did, to the tune of half. So impressed by site writer, yes, Yang Jizhou. We're talking about the same GQ interview, the Acolyte's negative reception. Qimir actor opined, it's a cycle. With everything that's come out since the original trilogy, there's always a very passionate group that doesn't like change. Oh, see, you just don't like change. It's not that you don't like poor storytelling, unfocused character development, or just sheer lore breaking. No. It's just, some people just don't like change. That are the wants that same feeling that they experienced when they were kids, the same feeling that you didn't resonate with, right? They've only grown up, their taste has matured, and they're more critical about the art or the world, and they are just more precious about the things that they've experienced when they were younger. Yeah, right. Nostalgia clouds your average Star Wars fans, according to Manny Jacinto. As somebody who actually for the first time engaged with Star Wars in my early 20s. When the Blu-rays came out, was that I think it was 2011. I heard something recently that put the first Blu-ray release of the first 6 Star Wars movies, 2011, okay? So I would have been, 21 at the time, and maybe a couple of months after I purchased them, I went through the series proper. That would be the first time that I sat down and actually watched every movie because, Star Wars growing up, it was on all the time, okay? TBS was running it, in somewhat regular syndication. So yeah, I've caught bits and pieces, probably seen quite a bit of Return of the Jedi prior to my official watch through, and I've seen bits and pieces of the 2 Star Wars movies that I've seen the most of is Attack of the Clones and Return of the Jedi. But yeah, when I watched them, I wasn't clouded by nostalgia, so I don't really think that argument, and especially how most people just go, yeah, Empire. It's not the first one that I watched, but that's objectively the best one. Most people that are talking about this stuff, they're either in their late 20s, early 30s. They weren't around when Empire released, so yeah, they would probably have more nostalgia associated with the prequels. So I don't really know how much this argument holds water, but pointing to the ongoing softening of fans' feelings towards the prequel trilogy, he then declared, looking at it through that lens, it's really helpful. It sucks that sometimes you have to wait 10, 20, 30 years to get your flowers. But no. As somebody who was growing up during the time of Star Wars, being adjacent to it, the prequels were very well received. You remember The Phantom Menace made over $1 billion back when that was a considerable marker of success. They were well loved. It wasn't until a bunch of nihilistic twats on YouTube wanted to make some unfunny sketches ended up shifting public perception. So yeah, well, as boilerplate stupid as this response is, it's not as offensive as the like of, Amanda Thenberg going on The View, blaming racist, bigoted fans, dropping her diss track, or Leslye, Headland, and Kathleen Kennedy saying, oh, we're getting review bombed, and it's just a bunch of angry bigots that are out there. It's better than most, but it still doesn't encapsulate just how absolute crap the Acolyte was, because guess what, guys? If you would have done something good, just goes to show you, not the entire brand of Star Wars has been ruined. People still liked Andor. People are looking forward to season 2 of Andor. There are things that people can like. Oh, there are still some people that think that Mandalorian season 1 is good. If you make something good, they will come. There's a lot of goodwill still left to Star Wars. It's just when you continue to shovel crap onto a streaming service, people are going to pick up on the pattern. You're going to see this same cycle play out over in Marvel. We'll see if they learn anything from Deadpool and Wolverine, or if the 2025 schedule is just going to be the same slop that put them in the spot that they are in currently right now. Because we're going to see how many people are going to tune in for Deadpool and Wolverine, how many people are going to go to the theater for that, and how few people are going to tune in for Agatha. What's going to end up happening now that the Acolyte releases? Then we're supposed to get Skeleton Crew, I guess, potentially. We'll see what the drop-off, if there is a drop-off for that, or if it's just we've reached sheer apathy. That's going to be a good testing point. Same with the next movie, and then same with Andor Season 2. If there's a bump for that one, that will be interesting. We'll see what happens. We'll see if Lucasfilm learns anything, or has Star Wars reached a point? Have they reached peak apathy? Only time will tell. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo, and I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.